Hi everybody, my name is spyros and I'm the lead QA in Zebra Technologies. First of all, thank you for being here and thank you for your time. It is a great pleasure and a great honor to be part of this year's conference and to be able to create a strong network with so many prestigious professionals and individuals like you. A lot of people are asking me how we should be using artificial intelligence and agile methodologies for testing and quality assurance. Although there are several answers to this question, there are many advantages to test automation and to giving the human testers the AI tools to assist with testing. So this is what I will be presenting today, and without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my presentation and we can go through it all together. So, how we are using artificial intelligence and AI methodologies to shape the future of quality assurance is the topic of today. By the end of this presentation, I hope to have answered in these three simple questions. How Agile, Scrum, and Agile methodologies can help increase productivity and team collaboration, how artificial intelligence can revolutionize the way we are using software, and what QA can do to become more effective. But before talking about agile methodologies and artificial intelligence, I would like to talk a little bit about Zebra. Who is Zebra? What is this company about? So Zebra was founded in 1969. Zebra helps organizations monitor, anticipate, and accelerate workflows by empowering their front line and by ensuring that everyone and everything is visible, connected, and optimized. Our award-winning portfolio spans software to innovation in robotics, machine learning, automation, digital decisions, and it is backed by a 50+ year legacy in scanning, track and trace, and mobile computing solutions. I have prepared two videos for you so that you can understand a little bit more what Zebra is about and what are our frontline solutions.
Look closely. What do you see? Can you spot a zebra in the aisles? Letting him know what customers want right now and showing him what's out of stock. What about this zebra she counts on to keep parts stocked and production lines moving? Or a zebra that knows just where to find the dishwasher this couple ordered online and loaded perfectly for next day delivery. A zebra is making absolutely sure she's giving her patient the correct dosage of medicine. You'll even find zebras in the field, picking the perfect tomato. So Grandma gets a birthday dinner she'll never forget. You may not always see Zebra, but Zebra lets you see what's important, what's critical, and what's next, ensuring every asset and worker is visible, connecting them to the data they need, optimizing workflows, operations, and decisions in real time to turn uncertainty into opportunity. Because whenever businesses and people find their edge, Zebra is there.
And now I'm going to continue to the next video, which is this one. So now I hope you have a better idea of what Zebra is and what's working on. And I'm going to continue with the agenda of today. So this is what I'm going to be talking about and covering in today's presentation. So first of all, I would like to say that how my journey started. It started around 12 years ago when I joined a startup company in London called Cortexica that was doing image search and visual recognition. We had very big clients and it was a very successful startup company. And as it happens with the majority of successful startup companies, at some moment they are acquired by bigger corporations. This is what happened in Cortexica, and we were acquired by Zebra Technologies. When I started being a part of Zebra Technologies, I started collaborating in two big projects. The first one was an enterprise voice assistant, or what we call voice AI, which is about creating a voice assistant that is similar to Siri, to OK Google, to Alexa. And the second project was about creating an annotation tool that would be used for data collection and for machine learning. These two projects are very different to each other, and they are two of the biggest projects that I started working with when I joined my journey in Zebra Technologies. Previously, I had a lot of experience in API testing, and I managed to set up the QA team, a fully automated QA team in Cortexica that was responsible for the automation testing of the digital products and services that we were providing. So I had this background, and this is what helped me in my journey in Zebra Technologies. So let me talk a little bit about the first program, the first project that I started working with, which is the voice AI assistant. As I said, it is a voice assistant application that has been developed in-house by Zebra. We are using our Zebra devices that are compatible with this software, and we're using AI models for user intent and responses. For this project, we are using handheld devices with scanners and cameras that are very similar to what you saw in the previous videos, but we have also wearable hands-free devices that you can wear on your finger with scanners. These devices have a very big range of dynamics. So why we are using voice AI assistant with these devices? We use it to cover a range of use cases. So, for example, we use it in supermarkets and the grocery stores in order to find information about the products in the inventory. We use it to find real-time information and details about the products that need to be restocked, about the prices of the products, about products that are misplaced in the corridors of the supermarkets, in the shelves. So a lot of use cases in supermarkets and grocery stores and of licenses. Also in the medical sectors, we collaborate with a lot of hospitals, and our products and services are used by a lot of doctors and nurses. And with the scanning functionalities, you can easily retrieve records of patients, or you can perform simple tasks such as booking of appointments. And last but not least, we work with the biggest delivery companies, and we are trying to facilitate and improve the way the products are stored inside our vans, and the way the products are delivered in the stores and in the clients. So we are working a lot with last mile delivery. With regards to the annotation tool and the data management solution, this is something completely different. It's a tool, it's a front-end tool that has been developed by Zebra. It has been developed internally. And what we want to do is to be able to create annotations in images and videos. Why do we need that? Because this is the input of the AI models, and this is how we train our machine learning modules. So we need to be able to collect images and associate metadata from devices and users. So this is what we're doing. And then on top of it, we need to be able to create annotations on these images. there are two ways of doing that. One way is to outsource annotated images and videos. The second way is to do that yourself. We tried both options. We tried actually to outsource this solution, but we found out that first of all it was very expensive, and second, the result was very error prone. So there were a lot of errors that were introduced by the manual annotators. So what we decided to do was to create a tool in-house where we would be able to upload images and videos, and then our dedicated team of annotators would be able to create the annotations, bounding boxes, points, lines, segmentations, on top of these images and videos. And this is how we created the online training artificial intelligence localizer models for this annotation and data management tool. As you understand, the projects that we're working on are very different from each other. So we need to be able to cover as much testing as possible. So in this presentation, in this slide, to be more specific, I am presenting you with all the different categories of testing that we are doing. First of all, talking about regression testing, this is probably the most important category of testing. We want to make sure that there is at least a weekly or sprint regression in all the teams and all the products that we're working on. Usually the majority of our sprints are 2-week sprints. With regards to functional testing and integration testing, we want to make sure that the functionality works as expected for all the different products, for all the different browsers that our customers are using. So these two categories of testing are very important. End-to-end testing, again, it is one of the most important categories related to testing. We want to make sure that there is no compromise at all in quality, because we are working with thousands, with millions of people who are using our products at the same time. And this is why we want to make sure that our solutions can scale up. That is why performance testing and load testing also play a very important role in testing. We're supporting a very big range of devices, and this is why we want to ensure that all our products are compatible with all the services we are providing, and all our services run smoothly. All our devices run smoothly any software and any service that we integrate with them. Security is quite significant, and it is the only testing category that QA people are not responsible for. So we have a dedicated team of security people who are responsible for performing penetration testing and security testing, so that we adhere to all security standards. And last but not least, unit testing is performed by the developers, and sometimes QA people help developers with regards to completion of the unit tests. Moving on to the next slide, I would like to present you with the tools that we're using. For voice testing, we use first of all physical devices, but because we want to enable automation, automated testing, we're using also emulators. We're using emulated devices, and for this reason, we are using Android Studio that can help us with the simulation. Additionally, we are using a robot framework, which is the main front-end tool, Selenium WebDriver for the testing of the web libraries, Avium for the testing of the mobile libraries, and also in order to enable automation, we use pre-recorded synthesized audios. For APIs, we're using JMeter and Postman, and also Cypress, which is one tool that we're using for the automation of the test in the annotation tool and data management that has a lot of front-end capabilities. And talking about front-end testing, we're using Cypress. As I mentioned, we're using robot framework to automate test cases, Selenium WebDriver, and lately we have started working with Playwright that can help us a lot with in parallel testing. For performance, we use JMeter and Locust as well. Our developers are writing PHP scripts that work with Locust, and these work in addition, and we use them in addition to the JMeter performance testing that we do in the QA department. For reporting, we use TestRail, which is the main data management tool. We also use Jira Wiki Pages. And we have created an artificial intelligence tool, an AI tool that provides us insights in a dashboard that combines information from TestRail and from Jira and depicts everything together. So you can use it in order to retrieve information and create dashboards for creating conclusions. Other QA tools that we're using in the QA department: Jira for issue management. Our main source control system is GitHub. And with regards to the AI tools that we're using, we are using GitHub Copilot, which is our main AI assistant, and we are also using two internal AI tools that we have created in Zebra Technologies in-house, and I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. Casecraft and Case2Code are the names of those, and they help us create automated tests that come just from a set of requirements. What is the problem that we were facing? So there are two challenges, and I have them categorized into different divisions. First of all, it's the QA challenges, and then it's the team challenges. Let me start with the QA challenges. One of the biggest problems we had was the fact that the requirements were changing. But the requirements were not changing just in the beginning of the sprint, but sometimes they were changing in the middle or even in the end of the sprint. So every time the requirements change, automatically the test scope is changed. So we need to make sure as QAs that we update our test cases and that we create new test cases to accommodate for the requirements that have changed. If we find a bug, if we find a problem, if we find an issue and something that is not working as expected, then we need to get back to the developers, let them know about this change. They will need to fix the bug, and then they will need to pass us the updated PRs that we are going to be testing. So as you understand, all this cycle creates and self implementation delays and test automation delays. What are the areas of improvement? What did we find and we realized it can help us with these issues mentioned? First of all, QA team needs to be as agile as possible and needs to accommodate the changes in a fast manner in order to avoid introducing extra delays. Additionally, we realized from the very first beginning that QA are the right people inside the team to share all the information required about the changing requirements, about the modifications that were taking place, and communicate this with the rest of the team, because the workload, which is not a static measure, the workload had to be re-estimated. And last but not least, once we have all the information provided and we understand what is the workload that is required for the changed requirements, then our duty is to replan the test automation in order to accommodate for those changes. Second, the problem that we were facing very often was the fact that requirements were not clear. And I'm sure that a lot of you might be familiar with this situation. Product owners are the ones who know the product perfectly, but sometimes they are not fully aware of the specific. So the acceptance criteria that in our case we had, sometimes we're not covering the proper scope. We're not including all the information about what needs to be tested, how the product needs to work. So the acceptance criteria needs to contain all the information of what needs to be included in user stories. And this was not the case for us. So we saw it as a great opportunity to fix that and become better. So what did we do? We started writing proper user stories. We started making sure that everyone who was assigned the story had all the information about how to do the testing, what needs to be delivered, and what are the expectations of this specific user story. So this was part of the acceptance criteria. From now on, we do not accept user stories without acceptance criteria. Also, apart from the QA people, it's also the developers who need detailed acceptance criteria. So we realize that we're not doing it just for us, but we're doing it for the whole team. And this is why we decided to include acceptance criteria in all the stories that landed in the backlog and on the current sprint. And last but not least, what's more important than communication? The team started working more closely with the product owner in order to understand the use cases, the feature, and what are the expectations from our clients. Another issue that we were facing was late testing cycles. So testing usually was taking place at the end of the implementation. So the developers were finishing with all the dev work, and then during the implementation, it was the QA team that was responsible for the testing. If there were issues that were uncovered during the testing process, then the problem was that we had to communicate the issues with the developers. The developers had to make the necessary fixes, and then if we were about to release, as you all understand, we had introduced release delays because of issues that were discovered during the testing process. And sometimes releases had to be postponed. So in order to avoid this very problematic situation, we decided to adopt the very trendy shift left approach. And what is the shift left approach? So in testing, it means that you move the tests, you move the QA, and you move all the performance evaluation early in the dev process before any code is written. So now the QA teams are involved in all the conversations about the features that will be provided and about the products that we need to get delivered. So we have enough time to plan the testing, to plan the test cases, and to be more prepared. That helps us start tests as early as possible and not wait until the end of the development process and the implementation to start with the testing. And we have the opportunity to discuss the test scenarios with the developers and the people inside the Agile team. Last but not least, manual testing versus automated testing. This is the biggest, let's say, debate that has been going on for years and years. And I remember talking about manual versus automated testing since when I joined Cortexica Technologies. So, no one can deny that manual testing is important, and in some cases automation might not be possible, so manual testing is really it might really be the only option. But is it enough? In cases where we can do automation, I would say that manual testing is not enough. There are many reasons behind that. Personally, the growing test scenarios is the biggest issue that affects this answer. Why do we need automation? Because tests keep growing, keep getting bigger. So they are not easy to sustain, they are not easy to maintain, and we cannot rely on humans running the manual test. That is why we need automation. That is why automation can increase the quality in testing and can help us with minimizing the release delays, as it takes much less time to trigger the automation testing. This is what we were facing, and in order to control and fix this situation, we decided to, first of all, see how we can promote automation. The principle that we follow is that we need automation whenever that is possible. So, testers are given many incentives to learn programming and scripting languages. So, we try to motivate testers to learn how to program because it really helps with the automation scripts. This is how we are promoting automation, but also we are promoting automation through the use of AI. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit, but artificial intelligence is really helping us create automated test cases in the QA department that we can use for testing. And last but not least, CI/CD plays a very important role with regards to how we can enable automation and ensure that we can have tests run at any moment. So now we are more engaged in CT, I would say, which is continuous testing,